curious what movies you guys have watched lately. I've watched a couple westerns pretty recently myself. Okay. I watched this one a couple days ago, and the ending is so. Remember, this is 1968. This is shortly before the 70s decade when things started to get well. This Western was pretty. I think this Western, when it comes to bleakness, I don't think anything can be bleaker than that movie. And this one is called. It's a spaghetti Western. It's called The Great Silence. Have any of you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
I think I've watched that one.
Yeah, I have not seen it. No.
So it's directed by. It's not Sergio Leone. It's directed by the Django director, Sergio Corbucci. And so Sergio Corbucci wanted to make a different type of Western. He wanted to make a Western where you were high in the mountains. You were high in the mountains of Utah, or in this, or if you could tell, it's obviously northern Italy. But hey,
that's all right.
Hey, that's not important right now.
No,
like Airplane. But the idea behind that movie was there's been a lot of political upheaval in the late 60s. I mean, a lot of assassinations, a lot of deaths of famous people. I mean, what's weird is I was reading up on this on the very, very, very reliable website known as Wikipedia. Very reliable, extremely. So I could be completely wrong, but Corbucci was a leftist, like most directors are, even in Italy. So I'm curious if he supported the Communist Party in Italy, but that's neither here nor there. He made a movie to kind of bring out that bleakness or that he was feeling. I mean, the deaths of Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy in 1968, and of course the death of Che Guevara. I'm like, why are you feeling bad about the death of Che Guevara? Che Guevara was stirring up shit all over the place, and he got caught in Bolivia and he got executed for it. Jesus. Sorry. But
you're not wrong.
Malcolm X, all that. And so the movie basically takes people that work on behalf of the government, bounty killers, not bounty hunters, bounty killers. In this movie, anytime a criminal gets caught, the bounty killer doesn't, it's a dead or alive thing. They just kill him. Why? Because it's easier. Because you don't know if the criminal is gonna, even as early in the movie, one of the criminals. So there's a ragtag group of people out there that are robbing and stealing from people up in the mountains. The people up in they're there because they're stealing because they can, but according to the movie, we're supposed to think that they're good guys. And even the new sheriff that comes in, he's an Italian. I think he's an Italian actor. He's the actor. If you guys ever seen Once Upon a Time in the West, he is the father of that homestead that you see in the beginning of the movie. Same actor. I don't know his name.
Okay.
So he comes in as the sheriff, and he's like, oh, they're not criminals, even though he was literally mugged by them. They stole his horse. Now you have to remember, they're in the wilderness, up in the mountains, and it's snowing. Now this is a very snowy movie. This is not your typical Western in the desert. This is your Western in the mountains type of deal. And it's like the Hateful Eight. And I swear the Hateful Eight kind of took some ideas. You're in a carriage, you're in the snow and all that. Everybody's bundled up like it's like they're in the north of Westeros, and then White Walkers are about to attack. That's how I think Game of Thrones should have looked, especially the final season. But that's just me. It's neither here nor there. But the sheriff basically says that these people they're not criminals, they're not bad, they're just hungry. And I swear I hear this in a lot of politicians now. When bad people do bad things in the city, you have rioters doing all bad stuff. Oh, it's because they're unheard. It's poverty, or there's always an excuse.
Always.
And they got to remember that this is Corbucci is a leftist, so he's basically projecting that stuff. But what's unforgettable about this movie, I don't know if I should go into spoilers. The ending is very.
I'll go ahead and put the spoiler card up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So. The good guy in the movie is a guy named Silence. Why is he called Silence? Well, when he was so why spaghetti westerns do this? The main character has a history. He has a chip on his shoulder. He has a history. Usually, when they were kids, their parents were murdered by evil people in power, or other cowboys or rustlers or criminals or politicians. And in his case, his voice, his throat was cut as a kid, and he can't talk. He survived, but and he doesn't talk, and he kills. He's a hired. People can hire him to if people have an issue with the bounty killers, he will go and kill them. And he will do it in a legal way where he provokes them into attacking him, and so he can claim self-defense. And what he likes to do is he likes to not only kill them, but he takes away their ability to kill. Like he will shoot their thumbs. That's how good of a shot he is. So he's up there with Clint Eastwood, or Clint Eastwood type of characters. Gunslinger. Well, at the end of the movie, let's just say the main villain is Klaus Kinski's character. He's called Loco. Now, he's your typical bad guy. He's the main bounty killer. He's the one that he works together with the evil banker dude, the evil capitalist dude in the city that's basically keeping people down and is causing people to go up into the mountains and rob because they can't survive otherwise, because capitalism is evil. All right. I'm not joking. This is the 60s. It's still a good movie, but it's still projecting that thing. And watching it now and with these ideas in mind, it's hard not to see the allegory there.
Right.
But I also think about what was happening in the 60s at that time.
Yes.
And even before then.
I mean, yeah, the Great Society was becoming a thing. I don't know much about Italian politics in the 60s, but I'm assuming, the Communist Party became a big thing after World War II. So I don't know how. I'm curious about 60s politics in Italy. So that would be something I would definitely need to research more. But
remember, Phil McCracken's Italian, and just look at him. That's the way Italy didn't stand a chance.
There you go. So, but going back, he basically gets into, let's just say Loco gets arrested by the sheriff because the sheriff is sympathetic. And let's just say Loco, Klaus Kinski, kills the sheriff by shooting because he tricks him into standing on an ice lake, and he shoots the ice under him, and he drowns. Or we don't see him drown, we just see him fall, and then it cuts away. So he could still be alive, right? So Klaus Kinski gathers his gang, and they go back to town with his gang. While at the same time, the people in the north, the ones that had been mugging and looting and stealing from people, I mean, it's because they're hungry, right? Well, the sheriff basically says, "Hey, everybody, bring out your food, and they'll come and get it, and they will stop being criminals." Right. Well, they go. Those people are walking towards the city, while Loco's people he finds out that they're walking towards the city, like, oh, this is our chance to get them. So they get back to the city, and silence is being held. Is being holed up by this woman who happens to be a person of color. Believe it or not, this is the 60s. They did have a few black people in the week because there were black people. And what's funny is there's a subplot where Loco, Klaus Kinski, kills the woman's husband because he's one of those guys. He's one of those people that commits crimes with that group in the north, up in the mountains. So they instead of letting them live and taking them to justice, they just kill them. I mean, they're still bad, but it's a lot. The movie's a lot grayer in that terms, because even the main character, Silence, who you're supposed to be on the side of, not necessarily a good person. Like, he tries hard to get Klaus Kinski to shoot him, or to get him to react to him so that he can shoot him, and it fails. And let's just say plus the sheriff interferes with that. And let's just say it basically seals Silence's fate ultimately, because they do take out the evil business capitalist, because you have to take out a bad guy. But Klaus Kinski comes back. People try to shoot him. He kills them. And he takes all those people that came for the food, those bandits, or whatever you call them. They're supposed to be good guys. He takes them all hostage. And he tells the woman that's holding up Silence, he's like, "You better bring him out, or I'm going to kill all these hostages." So she goes and she tells him. And she's like, "Don't do it." She's like, "Don't do it. They're going to kill you." And you know what he does? He goes outside. They're all holed up in the bar. with the hostages up against the bar deck. He goes outside. He's waiting for them. Klaus Kinski's men shoot him in the hands. He shoots him in the hands. He can't shoot anymore. Then Klaus Kinski himself opens the door, and they have the stare down. You get the very, I don't know if you've seen spaghetti westerns. Now they do the really close up of the face, and then they do a close up of the eyes, and you have this very, very crazy, like evil look of Klaus Kinski, like holding his arms like that, and just looking like he's got the expression of I caught you. You are right where I want you. And then Silence, not trying to give up, tries to hold his gun. He has a Mauser. He has a Mauser gun. He tries to lift it up. They shoot him again, and he drops it. And then Klaus Kinski takes out his gun, shoots him in the head, and kills the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't end there. The woman that the woman that wanted to have Loco killed by him tries to pick up his gun and shoot him, and Loco kills her too. And then the hostages, they execute all the hostages. You hear screaming, and then they just leave, and that's how the movie ends. That's how the movie ends. The bad guys literally win completely. They win completely. Now, and the last thing you see is Klaus Kinski, Loco, picks up his Mauser. It's his trophy, and they ride off. They're like, we'll come back for the bodies and get the reward, and they leave. And then we get a scrolling epilogue saying that the stuff of the bounty killers was denounced and condemned by the people, blah blah blah, and that was it. That was the ending. And they had to come. And the thing was, the director's like, I don't know if people are going to like this ending or how people are going to react to this ending. So they came up with a happy ending where the sheriff guy comes back. He didn't actually die, and he shoots Loco in the head or something, and Silence kills all the other goons in the bar. And we find out he actually has a gauntlet, so his hands weren't completely destroyed under the bandages and all that. So it was. I mean, I would have preferred if they were going to do a happy ending, you should have had Silence kill Loco, and then I don't know, but that's just me. And then they did that. They had another ending they had in mind, which was horribly edited, where they shoot his hands, but then they don't kill him. Like, it just ends on an ambiguous note. And he's there, he's on his knees, and they just leave. And then you get this little breeze, and it says "Fiend," end in Italian. And I don't know. I was thinking about that. The Morricone soundtrack builds up the last 7 minutes of that movie. The Morricone soundtrack builds the tension so well. Like, I was re-listening to it today. I've been listening to it like the last 5 days. It's just how crazy it is. And you're listening to it, and you're like, if I listened to this, could I tell that the ending would have been what it was? It was almost like the soundtrack was mocking you or mocking your expectations in a way. And it was very creepy. There was a creepiness to it. And it was very emotional. And it was just like, and then just go silent. Like the movie, like the name of the movie and everything. So